Hello, everyone. This is Waldorf.
And this is Statler.
And today they've announced, well, not today. Today we're going to talk about the announcement.
We're a few days after this announcement was Friday, so.
Yeah, and it's a few days after that. So issue 7 of their sneak peek of version 2.0 spoiler.
Yes.
And they say a sneak peek at the DL.
Demon Legions. Or designated liaison.
Designated liaison? Okay, we'll
Well,
go with that.
I'm looking at Cathal's, what do you call the picture?
Avatar?
Avatar. It looks like something having liaison.
All right. So let's go through this real quick. They just basically go through the fact that
this is a summary of what they
summary of the last one where they took a poll and decided that more people wanted to see it look like this than the kind of more, what was it called, the narrative type one they did. People just want to get down and dirty and see what. Okay, stop with the fancy stuff. Just tell me what's showing up.
Exactly
is what it came up with. But you can see they're determined to the fancy table of contents. So basically, what we're going to be seeing is Army Uniqueness, a peek at the 2.0 rule changes, and the Demon Legion spoilers
for some special units. Yeah.
Start with discussions. Demon Legions, like a new member. The other thing is you'll see at the end they also created a this is out there where it can be replied to. And
yes, the art of brutalizing the rules team.
The art of brutalizing the rules team. Yes.
Let the flogging begin.
Yes. And of course so you have the elf, the high elf, and however you say his name, Calcathan.
I guess the really high elf.
The really high elf.
It doesn't make me think high. It's more like happy.
All right. Now back to the rules. So it's talking about Army Uniqueness. Here they just go through a couple of things and talk about how originally they had Army book committees for everything. And they were kind of in the dark as far as what the other Army book committees were doing.
Right.
And just kind of flailing around trying to come up with something on their own.
Not flailing,
but rough power level guidelines.
Yes.
Yeah, no, believe me, I'm not trying to belittle what those guys did. I just think they were all handicapped by the fact that...
Oh, yeah, because you're trying to redo a book, and it came out clear when the first books came out. Some people did some radical changes to the armies, and other people seemed to be more grounded in 8th edition, and,
Right.
And they had...
Some people had bigger wish lists than others.
And then the armies all started from different perspectives. Some had a lot of units already.
Correct.
And others had hardly had any. So
they started from different power levels
Exactly.
So, yeah. No, understood. I mean, the Army book committees, I think, did a really good job of getting their armies together. But again, in the dark like they were, it's kind of hard to balance that.
When you can't coordinate, it does make it much more challenging.
Moving on.
It also causes, from a simplicity perspective, you maybe introduce, and I think you see this in some of the books, you introduce a special rule someplace that is just only slightly different than something else that had you done it across the ones. You say, oh, this could have just been a special rule.
Yeah, we can tweak this just slightly, and it can apply to everybody.
Exactly.
That needs it, right?
So I think we'll see more of that now that they're bringing it together. But then they have the input of the existing Army books, so there's a foundation. They have the input of the strength and weakness surveys,
right?
So to help with the the play style. So
okay. One of the positive signs I'm seeing, it says this will have the effect the knock-on effect of curtailing niche power builds like the peasant kingdoming Aquitaine army. That alone makes me happy.
Yes. The corner hammer war with dark odds and the marked over kingdom gunline. Yes. And of course I should also make us happy.
This line makes me very happy.
Yes. More epic Kingdom of Aquitaine Night Chargers.
There you go.
And then the other part makes me happy. It's a bit weird playing Sylvan Elves only because you like the best monstrous infantry Death Star in the game. So I don't know if I agree it's the best, but it was definitely a weird reason to go to the army.
It was a very weird reason to see Sylvan Elves
yes
played just so you can play an army without Sylvan elves in it.
Yes.
Anyway, yeah, this kind of makes me happy, just simply because it looks like I may be taking a lot more away from this than I should, but
yeah, quite possibly.
Kind of makes me think that they are looking at a problem with Cav in general.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping.
But again, maybe wishful thinking.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. And they talk a little bit now in the next paragraph about how they maintain uniqueness between armies of the same race, and they give the example of highborn elves. Forgot their B. Dread elves and Sylvan elves.
No.
The different elf races. How do you have a different play style yet they're still elves? Same thing with the humans, Kingdom of Equitaine and Empire of Sonstal, and they've talked about basically a Dogs of War replacement for a while. So I assume we'll see that in a not so distant future. So yet another human army.
Right.
So how do you make those things different? And there is a desire to keep doing that. So that's good.
Yeah. This actually makes me. I mean, again, another thing I'm really encouraged by. I like the armies need that different feel for each army.
Yeah, I like that, and that's what I want, and always attracted me to the game in the beginning. Of course, sometimes that can be like the false grail that people chase after. That at some point they need to be similar in certain ways.
Correct.
And people try to.
Right.
They worry so much about the difference they forget. Well, they're still the same dudes. So.
Yeah, as long as they don't go too far and bring back the old Bretonnian wedge
yes.
formation.
Well, because I'd hate to see a game where Empire Sonsal no longer can have cavalry and only
Correct.
and can only Kingdom of Equitaine has cavalry. You don't want to see that kind of extreme stuff,
Right.
But definitely the direction that we're looking forward to see what they come out with.
Okay. Then they talk about the redesign of the Warriors, Dark Gods, and Demon Legions. Will take particular care with this strength and weaknesses.
Yeah. This is a tough one for them because these are the first two, I'll call it, books of the new game. Because up to now, while the books are all basically versions of something we saw in a previous game that shall not be mentioned.
Right.
So they all still have a lot of the feel and a lot of the
they do. And I really don't think they're going to go away
focus
from that too much.
Well, we'll see. But clearly, with the Warriors of Dark Gods and Demon Legions, they have to because that's GWIP all over the place as far as the old books are concerned. So understand here. So this will be really interesting to see. When we see these, it'll give us a better feel of, because not all the army books will be done at the same time, but at least we'll get a better feel for army books that we may like as individual players. How they may tweak things to incorporate a lot of the rule changes that they've announced so far. And we'll talk a little bit more of that in a second.
Right.
So.
Okay.
And the focusing, the second pair is a little puzzling to me, I have to admit. They talk about the hard strength, hard weakness, which I like to see. And they're going to have a maximum of 5 armies into hard weakness, hard strengths, hard weakness, but it might be less for some things, and that all sounds good. It'd have been better. I think you'd mentioned this when we were chatting earlier that it'd be nice to see what a listing of what the weaknesses and the strengths are that they're going to be categorizing.
What those categories are that they're categorizing around.
Yeah, I'm looking forward.
I would be real curious to see what those are.
In a future sneak peek to see what that is. It does get me a little worried that this one is grinding because currently the game is a grinding game.
I mean, the game's all about grinding.
It's all about grinding, mostly out grinding your opponent, and unless you can get around them or do whatever. But and that's kind of only a few armies can grind. So, how's that going to work?
Yeah, and then there's anyway.
I mean, we'll see. I'm sure they've thought that out.
And they're trying to make this, from what I've seen and what I've heard, from people who don't may or may not know anything. But what I keep hearing is they want to bring, they want to bring the maneuver game, everything back into it, and become a big part of it rather than just slam against each other and fight. But some armies cause a problem with that. In fact, like ogres, ogres would rather be charged in the rear than the flank.
Yes.
And that, and I've picked out ogres because any monstrous infantry
Or
would much rather
multi-attack infantry.
Yeah, anybody with multi-attacks would much rather get hit in the rear than the flank.
Yes.
And that's a bad design thing. I mean,
yes.
It's not from Ninth Age. I'm just saying that's something that's carried down through
That's
it.
because it's the same combat system right
Correct.
now that 8th edition Warhammer
Yeah, it's
had.
just tweaked slightly so
Yeah,
far.
right.
But I think that's something where they need to go and make a bit of a change.
Yeah, you play a ranks and flanks game, and that's what we got into it because it was a ranks and flanks game
Correct.
back in the day. And you want positioning to be important, and
Right.
and supporting units to protect your flanks and anchoring and all those things that you have in a historical that we're used to in historical types of ranks and flanks games, So if they can bring that into it even better, and not just rely on this bubble leadership, which is another thing from 8th edition that is still there that causes the game just to be kind of a bit of a slogfest.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I was thinking along those same lines. You think of like an Ushabti guy. There's 3 Ushabti, in a row, one rank of 3.
Right.
You don't necessarily want to hit them in the flank either because it's probably going to have 5 attacks to you and you're only going to have 3 models on it.
Exactly.
So it's like, what the hell? That just happened. Anyway. Like I said, I'm hoping that's part of what they're looking at as far as this goes.
So we'll see.
But we'll see. But I do like the idea of armies being limited. There's, and I'm sure one of these categories that they're talking about is going to be gun line or whatever.
Yeah, that's what I would expect,
That's a typical one. But, I mean, we'll see what they have. But I would like to see what the categories are.
And I think the one thing people have to kind of, bite their tongue a little bit in, everyone wants their army book to be done right away.
Correct.
And
everybody wants their army book to be done right away.
And I think that this is doing army books from the ground up is difficult. And then trying to do them with the overall balance of a new game system, which hasn't been played a lot because we've got 2.0 coming out, makes it even more difficult. So they've got a lot of work. I mean, they've got a lot of armies to do.
Yeah, there's 16 armies.
Yeah, and they keep things interesting, balanced, and that one game style, can win. Because I think the thing you want to get away from is you don't want to have the rock, paper, scissors, game style. If I have this, I auto win.
Right. Correct.
That's no fun. Then that's just yeah.
So, I mean, if you take this if you take a certain style and then I pigeonhole myself into a certain style without regard to branching out, then I don't mind losing that. You know what I'm saying? If I decide to go down a route where,
if I try to go with a niche, power build army,
right.
and there is a natural counter that's a different thing. But if the game, if we're talking about here, that the armies are going to be built around certain play styles.
Right.
Well, if the army plays that play style, you'd still like them to have it because
they still need the weaknesses.
You still need weaknesses, but you still should have a chance to win against anybody in front of you.
Right.
If you can maximize your strengths while minimize. That's the thing. That's the fun to me of having different play styles. It's not about my build just beats your build. That's not fun.
Right.
It's if I can maximize the strengths of my builds while minimizing the strengths of your build, causing you to minimize the strengths of your builds, then I can beat you.
Through maneuver,
whatever it is.
Correct. I understand.
Through a skill as opposed to just army composition.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
You don't want somebody to be able to win before the game starts.
Exactly.
Correct. Unless, like I said, it's because somebody built a niche build that
is super niche.
Does have that hard.
Yeah, super skew list that
Anyway, wish us luck. Good luck on your road. There you go.
And we wish you good luck.
And we do wish you good luck.
Yeah.
So we'll move on to a peek at the 2.0 rule changes, part 3.
Yes.
They've split the movement speed. They've split the weapon skill,
which they told us about in the previous announcement.
In the other announcements, and now we're splitting strength. Well, not necessarily, but
yes.
Strength is now they're going to be strength, and then there's going to be armor penetration.
Right.
The to-wound table stays the same. Okay. All right. So not changing the to-wound table.
That's too bad.
I know you're a big fan of that changing.
Yeah,
but it's not going to.
That's the one change I'm not a huge fan of because I'm afraid of the to hit, to wound. I'm afraid of the arrow hammer implications.
All right. So what do we got here? Not going to be a big surprise. Um, They're just saying strength doesn't necessarily equal armor penetration.
Right, exactly. So they're going to separate it into two different factors. And you see this in some other game systems. And I think that can make for more specialty units and more interesting things in the game. Because now it's really about, if you got high strength guys, you're really good.
Yeah, that is true.
You know, and
it's all about strength.
Yeah, it's all about strength overcomes toughness and overcomes armor. So
right.
it's the universal thing that you want as far as offensive power. Armor tends to be, frankly, you don't really care about it unless you get up to the bigger numbers.
Right.
When you get up to, or lower, whatever you want to call it, you know, the 1+, 2+, you know, 3+ range. When you get up there, then armor is so good because so many troops only have strength 3, strength 4 in the game. And then you have good armor, you know, they can't really get through you very easily, which isn't too bad when you have really expensive models because they're going to get enough through the war. Like cavalry kind of suffer because their wounds light.
Correct.
So even only a couple get through, it hurts.
It hurts.
But when you have like inexpensive, heavily armored infantry, you know,
yeah,
dwarven holds comes to mind, you know, then that can be really tough trying to grind through that stuff.
Because that one wound that slips through on your 2-up armor knight cost you over 50 points.
Yes.
You know, as opposed to an infantry guy. Which,
might cost you 12.
Right,
you know?
exactly.
So I kind of like that. You can get more specialties into the game, and that'll help to, because that's always been kind of a challenge for people who play the Demon Legions, the old Slanesh guys, the Lust guys.
Right.
To make them work has always been a challenge because they've always been, you know, good initiative, but low strength and okay
and number of
AP
attacks were always good.
Yeah, but the AP was never really enough to compensate for
strength
armored
3.
guys. Yeah. Because you're still strength
3 AP1 really didn't do a lot for you.
You were much happier having a guy that was strength 5 than having your guy with strength 3 AP1, you know.
Right.
So.
Yeah, it's a great concept. I like this a lot.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of it. I mean, it's going to be tough once again because it breaks the game into two different directions, and doing the balance is going to be hard.
Correct.
Because you also don't want to get to the point where hardly anything affects armor, and then really good armor is like even better than it is now. Yeah.
Well,
because only a few handful of units can cut through armor. You know.
That is true. And of course, anything that helps armor tends to help caths. So.
Yeah. But
of course, it also helps other
It helps
things,
characters more than anything else, and that's the.
It does, and then we're back towards the hero hammer thing again.
And it helps a lot of the bigger monsters now have armor 4. So, you know.
That is true. There are quite a bit that are getting the 4-up armor.
Yeah.
Anyway, like I said, it's a great concept. I think it's a nice direction to go in.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to how they do it.
And I'll say what I did above. Good luck in the implementation.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be tough.
I wish you luck. Anyway, it's just.
I think this is easier than the thing above, but
one of the downsides, of course, is going to be, to me, is. I mean, we've split three abilities, so now it's just 3 more stats per unit now.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not complaining about it. I'm just saying that's something that's going to have to happen.
It's going to take people a little bit of time to get used to. More stats to do the same things.
And I play in tournaments quite a bit, so to me, it's even more of a impact because now it's like, okay, so now it's not only memorizing try to memorize. Now I've got to remember what the other opponent does.
There's going to be a big curve because it's going to take people a while to figure things out, especially as the army books are completely redone. No question. And then you have to come up with some kind of roster system that still so you can get your roster on a sheet of paper and keep track of all these stats because you don't want somebody there with 8 pieces of paper.
That's true. When people bring in a booklet in with
or unit cards, that'll work too. So what does this unit do again? So
you
can
just able to show to somebody.
You can just show it to somebody. Just something small and easy. That's that works.
And
they're going to become really important.
Correct. And as far as the Army Builder guys, those guys, I'll have to say it again, those guys are doing a fantastic job. As a matter of fact, they one of them listened to one of our videos where we talked about something that was wrong
Right.
in the Kingdom of Equitane.
Oh, okay.
The Pegasus movement.
Oh, okay.
And fixed it and posted a note on our video that they had fixed it.
Oh, I didn't notice that. I didn't notice that.
And
comment.
they said they didn't see the problem you brought up about the Great Weapon
Okay.
questing guy. And I didn't either. I went and tested it.
I just did it the other night.
What's that?
I just had it the other night.
What?
I just built another army list.
You need to update your version. That's all I'm saying. Actually, try it again, and if you find it,
Yeah.
post a note, and the guy said he'll fix it for
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
Anyway, so then we go on to Demon Legion spoiler. Basically, we're getting pink rabbits and lollipops. That's what it says right there.
Yeah. No, I saw that.
My takeoff from it.
I find that positively frightening.
That's just kidding. Said it's not pink rabbits and lollipops. Anyway.
It's Demon Legion. They can be whatever you want to be.
It can be.
I saw some guy play Kingdom of Equitane with My Little Ponies, and
Yeah, and I saw somebody play a Demon Legion army with Chaos Warriors.
well, that was a whole nother. We won't get into that.
But there's always the claim that, oh, this is a new game. We don't have official models for each of these
Yes,
things.
that is true.
That's
And
not
you know, I don't even mind that so much as long as the models look unique and kind of match
somewhat the WYSIWYG.
the WYSIWYG, the idea of what they're describing.
Anyway, all right, enough abusing him.
Yeah.
Basically, they're talking about forging characters from the armies will pivot,
Right.
talking about their big characters, and the difficulty that's going to have with the 7 mark specific demon versions.
Yeah, they had mentioned before that instead of 4, there's, well, I guess 5 technically. There's going to be 7, which I guess technically is 8 because you have a unmarked version.
Probably.
Yeah. This, I mean, yeah, I don't know how they're going to balance this and
Yeah.
make them all interesting.
And keep the model.
They're a lot more creative than I am. Yeah, and just keep the.
I mean, how big is this army book going to be?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you do it with marks and stuff. I think you can work around it, but just making them all interesting.
You're correct.
I mean, it was hard
And
enough
worthy.
with the and worthy, yeah,
Right.
before to do that. So that this is going to be
Like you said, Slanesh always suffered a bit from their troops
yeah.
hardly being taken.
They decided to go with like leadership bombs and stuff. So it was
Right.
kind of a gimmick type of thing, and you're hoping that it's not a gimmick army. I hate
Right.
gimmick armies.
Yeah. And they do mention that they are trying to put out a lord that's a character that is not a monster.
Yeah, because it's the current army. It's basically got really big guys, and you have
Right.
the infantry guys that aren't particularly good. So something in between would be good for this
Right.
particular army.
And they talk about the difficulty they're having, working that through that whole thing.
Yeah, I saw that, and I don't think they need to worry too much. Basically, build the army, and people will figure out their model needs as they need to. There's a lot of stuff out there, so
There is.
and people will may make it. You still can do conversions. You can use other things for other things. I don't think they should worry for this army because it's such a wacky army anyway.
Yes.
Just do stuff and figure.
Let people work it out.
You want to make sure they can keep using the models that they already have. Which has always been a goal of the Ninth Age. But past that, I wouldn't worry so much about it. Frankly, a different paint job and a couple little tweaks to a model, you can do a lot with it.
That's true.
Yeah, when it's something like this, when it's a human, it's a little different. But
and we go into the special category, the discussion of that.
for Demon Legions,
All special models will be unmarked,
right?
but have the option for an aspect upgrade. Does this mean they're going to each have 7 aspect upgrades?
I'd be surprised, but I guess it's possible.
Okay. So various conclaves, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So this is just kind of what they got in mind so far. And again, they mentioned somewhere in here that all this is in the early design stuff. And
Yeah.
who knows what's going to make it and what doesn't. And they're talking about having a flying diverter. It seems weaker defensively than the current Furies, but much better leadership. Much is emphasized.
Yes.
Which probably wouldn't be hard because most Furies currently have leadership 2.
Yes.
So if they have leadership 4, that's double their leadership.
Yes.
Anyway.
So it'll be interesting. They're going to keep the same crumble rule they currently have. So,
Think so?
no, I mean it'd be interesting.
Oh, if they do,
because if they're going to give them a much higher leadership, and they still have that rule, then they're
a fantastic
they'll
army.
they'll be fantastic.
That's a good point.
They'll be more than a diverter.
Yep.
Because they'll pass. You won't be able to crumble them off fast enough. Yeah.
It brings us to talking about a light infantry conclave, shooting infantry with high damage, limited range, and very weak melee capabilities.
Right.
Which sounds like the what were they called? The shooter guys.
This flamer thing.
Flamers.
Yeah. Whatever the new name is. Yeah.
Correct. Anyway, upgrade a little further.
This is always a challenging thing to do because, with once again, regular ballistic kind of shooting, when your range is short, that means you're in range of getting attacked.
Correct.
So,
I mean, if you're within if your range is 18, you can get charged.
Yeah.
Maybe not by infantry, but Cav can hit you at 18.
Cav can, so even say if it's 12, if it's like super damaging, and so that's the counter. And we'll see in version 2 if they change any of the modifiers. I'm still holding out hope that they remove the shooting at chargers modifier for ballistic skills. So, but so that would be that's a difficult balance. So.
Yeah.
For it to work, then they have to actually do a lot of damage, and there's no such thing as right now a ballistic skill shooting unit that really puts out heavy damage to compensate for being charged.
Okay. I mean the stand and shoot capability.
Just in general, just an archer unit that.
Yeah, the problem I've seen though is what happens. What I've seen done is, like they say, a shooting unit that does high damage and limited range. So now they're saying, okay, so it's got limited range, so now it has to be able to move and shoot without a penalty, so it can get those shots off, so it can move into range, fire.
Right.
Okay. So now, but then again, of course, that takes away a minus. So now they're even better shooters than they originally planned to be.
Yes.
That's the kind of thing that, somewhat concerns me about that. And then, of course, because they're so already limited range, they don't want to have them a short range penalty, a long range penalty. So they have to pull that out as well.
Yeah, yeah.
So now you've got a unit that kind of breaks the shooting rules.
So I mean, we'll see what direction, but yeah, it's just you don't want flying or light infantry organ gun,
No.
Yeah.
Think of a light infantry that shoots like an ogre.
Yeah, but you don't. And if it's going to do so much high damage, then the range has to be quite limited because if it's going to be equivalent of a melee, then it's got to be very limited because otherwise, the advantage of shooting is you can't get hurt.
Right.
In the melee, you could lose and bad things can happen. So that's the downside. So yeah, it makes it hard. It makes it challenging to do, especially because right now, at least in my opinion, ballistic-based shooting it doesn't do anything except for get rid of chaff. So
it can do quite a bit. I mean, I saw Chaihammer take off an entire unit of bloodletters.
Yeah.
With it or whatever.
Well, with enough bows,
enough of it.
If you got cheap enough guys, and the guy can't get to you.
Right.
But it doesn't do as much as war machines do.
All right. So what do we got? A War Beast unit of very fast and quite tough models, which rely heavily on a unique special rule. And it's set up to counter. This unit seems like a specific counter to certain immune to panic and fear-causing armies.
Was it the corn war beast, whatever? Those dogs, the corn dogs.
Corn dogs?
Yeah. whatever the heck they're called now.
And of course,
this is what this sounds like.
Yeah, again, they talk about in here as well. Amendments are quite common based on balance and playtest feedback.
This one's kind of odd to me. I mean, I'm not a fan of a lot of special rules, so it depends what that means. That it relies on the special rules,
Correct.
kind of. I mean, if there's an army that should do weird stuff, I guess it's this army. But that's kind of concerning. The next line kind of has me a little puzzled, which is the unit seems like a specific counter to certain ITP fear-causing armies, and historically, this army could care less about fear.
Correct.
So,
who cares if somebody calls us fear?
Because your entire army was ITP anyway. So I don't know if I'm reading too much. Does that mean they're no longer gonna be an ITP army? I don't know.
Who knows?
Why would you need that if so? This one's got me a little intrigued and puzzled. So we'll see what that, I guess when the time comes, what that is.
Okay. What do we got? Flying Wizard Conclave.
Yes.
Looks like a nightmare for armies that. These look like a nightmare for armies that lack regular shooting. Flying ogre warlocks that shrug off magic. Ugh. Hold off eBaying those old skyscraper models you have. So, wow. So this, based on their comparatives or whatever, it looks like they're talking about a fairly tough 3-wound, multi-wound thing flying around.
I'm assuming a 3-wound toughness 4 thing that unit. I mean, the conclave.
Yeah, we're kind of extrapolating quite a bit. From
exactly.
This,
we're stretching like nobody's business.
Right. How big were the old Sky Serpent models? Do you know? Were they decent size?
I don't remember what size base they were on. Yeah, they're actually pretty long.
Are they? I don't remember them at all for some
somewhat
reason.
Wide. Yeah, they were way bigger than a 40 millimeter base. So
okay,
I assume that's what these are. But so that can be a little tough. Once again, I mean, toughness 4. If you have a number of wounds, even ballistic based shooting is not going to be so effective necessarily against them, especially if it's armies that are vulnerable to magic. Get magicked off before you can you shoot them down. So I'm
it's saying they shrug off magic too.
Yeah, so. they shrug off magic, but they're a conclave, so
correct.
Clearly
they
their role is to blast people. So
right.
Or
do something.
Yes. Yeah, we'll have to see. But so that's intriguing what they're going to do with here.
All right, that brings us to the Fast Chariot. It says, this is a hot rodder's dreams with 3 levels of upgrade. It can be driven around as a mini, a van, or a Mack truck.
Yeah, I mean, this is the old GW/Chariot was always a neat model.
Yeah, I'm hoping that's what they're keeping in mind.
To give it a purpose, because frankly, it's never been a...
And maybe that big,
good
wide,
model.
nice model that I like a lot.
Yeah, I think that's the next one.
The big wide thing.
I think that's the anti-monster. I'm just guessing,
okay.
But yeah. So see if they can do some interesting things. There's some different kinds of chariot conversion stuff you could do, and that's all pretty neat.
Okay. And then an anti-monster chariot.
Is that what Anster means? Anti-monster chariot?
Yes, Anster is anti-monster. Just
okay.
Keep that. I don't know why they haven't adopted it.
You Americans and your funny names for things.
I've already named it that. They need to just go with it.
The Anster.
It says, not exactly a tank, but large target models will certainly have a healthy respect for its potential damage output, since it gains abilities based on its target. Looks like a powerful area denial tool. Monster roadkill. Here we go. I hope by area denial tool they don't mean random.
I was just thinking the same thing.
That scares me a lot.
That would be
that's one thing we need less of, not more of.
Yes, that would be depressing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
I think it's just to use the big lawnmower.
The big lawnmower thing, which I've always loved the look of that model.
Well, I always wanted to do something different. There's certain aspects I didn't like about it. I thought the conversion opportunities were so cool, but what to use it for, never really had a purpose. So yeah, that's fine.
And lastly, they say there's a demonic thingy. It's very hard to describe. A buff hex wagon model that flies. The most complex entry in the book by quite a bit. Maneuverable, aggressive, and pretty quick, but at the expense of durability. Tiny 50/50 base belies its impressive stats and abilities. Not sure this will get through the rules review unscathed, but fingers crossed. So
flying buff wagon.
So yeah, I can see why they're worried about it getting through the rules team unscathed.
Buff wagons are good at adding flying to one. I mean, it's always in the right place.
Yeah.
Could be quite good.
There's a lot of buff wagons in the game.
Yeah, well, there's more and more buff stuff, but but one that flies. That means at least the other ones are somewhat limited. And
correct.
It's either stuck in your unit or you have to actually maneuver it around. You can't get through things. Flying is a big force multiplier for this type of stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. So What's really interesting on this list is it seems you're gonna be able to build a really powerful. I mean, who knows what it really is, but just by what I'm seeing here, you could theoretically build a powerful avoidance army with Demon Legion.
Things are as fast as what it looks like.
It's fast and flying all over the place.
The light infantry conclave, the flying wizard conclave.
Yeah, and your buff, everything is just you just kind of float around and
war beast,
zap people with your magic and your short range shooting, and then that's seems to be a play style. I mean, can't really tell till we see stuff, but that's what comes to mind.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well,
since Sylvan Elves aren't allowed to do it, I guess
somebody needs to do it.
Somebody needs to be able to do it.
Somebody needs to take that as their army special thing, right? Special strength is there, and why give it to Wood Elves?
Exactly.
No one likes them anyway. Sorry, Sylvan Elves.
Yeah.
People only play those to play trees.
Exactly. Look at stars.
Who would a cheesy bastard play an all-tree army?
I don't know.
Just saying. If you're playing Sylvan Elves, I think you ought to have a Sylvan Elf in there somewhere.
I believe that the all-tree army was, back in the old days of 8th edition, was much more fun. I'm sorry, 7th edition. Was when, woods actually stopped people. Then it was...
Yeah, okay.
That was when to play it.
Yeah, okay.
When you could actually surround people with the woods and cut them off.
When you get surrounded.
They think they have an opening and then they don't.
Exactly. All of a sudden the woods close in on you and you have nowhere to go.
And you're slowed down. So now it doesn't do anything.
No. 7th edition wasn't slowed down. If you went into the woods, you never came out of 7th edition.
Exactly.
Not because it hurt you. It's just because you could never move out of it.
Exactly.
Anyway,
that was the way to play trees.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
I miss those days.
That was a fun play style, wasn't it? Yeah, okay.
It was for me.
Okay, you should be playing dwarves, huddling in a corner, watching your opponents suffer. All right, that's it with this issue. It says, of course, there's a
discussion thread, so you can make your comments, try to keep them civil.
Yeah, it's always nice to do that.
Yeah, I never understand the people that feel they have to rage burn, the people that are doing this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, make your opinions known, but you don't have to go at somebody over it.
Exactly. I mean, you hear our videos. We don't agree with everything, but we're all the same. We all have opinions, but we can be civil.
Well, until we're talking about dwarves or
until we're talking about
Vermin
Swarm, yeah.
You go the whole list. And go out on the channel and you can check, people are kind of hammering us for our versions. Opinions.
Exactly.
And we haven't even heard our dwarven holds.
But we always use nice words and we never call anybody stupid.
Sure about that?
Except each other.
Okay. I'm not so sure, but we've managed to keep that up.
Yeah.
Maybe we have. All right. Anyway, thank you for listening.
Till next time.